try that again.
What you got going on here, Fluff?
Yeah, I know. Plus having a little minor technical problem. Actually, that's kind of the way we do things. We like to work it out of the garage whenever possible. All right, there we are. Now we're live, ladies and gentlemen. We got Rodney Carrington on the phone here with us, joining us this morning. So welcome, Rodney.
Welcome, Rodney.
Good morning, gentlemen.
We are broadcasting live
How are
to
you?
the whole world, so...
How many listeners you got? Like 8?
Actually, I think we moved up from 3 to 4 this week.
I love it. I love
moved
it,
up from
man. Well,
3
you
to
never
4.
know. You got to start somewhere.
We have a feeling our numbers are skewed, though. We're hoping, anyways.
Yeah, if you actually look at our show page and you see our view count, we believe it's low. We like to believe that there's a few thousand viewers. It helps us put on a better show, we think.
Oh, yeah.
I hear you. Well, I think you just got to start giving stuff away. And if you don't have prizes, you just start giving away some of your personal items. Maybe a toothbrush or something.
Great, yeah. I think that's what I'll do. So real quick, we wanted to mention you got a lot of tour dates coming up. You were touring like crazy from what I saw.
Yeah, well, it's either that or I got to find a real job.
A real job?
A real job?
That doesn't sound
well,
fun
no,
at all.
no. I mean, that's what I do for a living. I got 4 kids and a wife and 3 dogs and 2 foreign exchange students living at my house. So we got. There's a reason I'm touring.
Wow, you actually have foreign exchange students staying in with you? So
yeah, we do. We had 2. We had my wife. When we were in Florida earlier this year on vacation, and my wife had. She goes, "What do you think about a foreign exchange student?" My initial reaction was, "No, we got 4 kids already. I mean, where's he going to sleep? What are we going to do?" And she went, "Well, all right." And then about 2 weeks later, she called me and she says, "Well, he's coming on the 28th, and he's coming from Mexico." And that's how I found out. So, but it's been a great experience.
As long as you don't have him out there mowing.
No, he's not mowing. But I'll tell you, it's the whole thing's been a great experience.
That's really got to help, break cultural borders and really. Is that good for the kids? Have you noticed? Have you noticed the kids really kind of enjoy having somebody in like that?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, he's been, we've learned stuff about his culture. He's learned stuff about, ours. I mean, it's been, he's become part of the family. We recently, the first foreign exchange student we had one for 4 weeks. Ken was his name, and we recently dropped him off with another family because they change out. One comes for 4 weeks and another one comes for 4 weeks. And I got to tell you, it was kind of it was sad. We kind of grew attached to it. The whole family did. So, but now we got our nets though, and we're going again.
Well, that's nice. Do you teach these guys your songs so when they go back they can spread the word?
I don't think that It seems like Ken said he knew of me. Like he knew of me in Mexico, but he didn't say what he knew of me.
Okay.
He just kind of like, yes, I know you.
Now here's a real question though. Did you break out the Carlos impersonation while they were there?
No Carlos.
No Carlos
I've actually, when I'm at home, it's pretty low key. I mean, I don't. In fact, it's funny because people will bring up, with all the comedy albums and things that I've made over the years, people will bring up bits to me or songs or things like that. And when I tell you I can't remember I did them, I'm telling you straight up I can't remember I did them because as I put things together and put them on an album or something and put it out there, I move on. Once it's on a record or a special or something like that, I'm on to the next thing. Trying to find new stuff and create a new show. And on average, it takes about 3 years. From my standpoint, I don't know about other guys or how they work, but it takes about 3 years to build a good solid hour, of material where it's where it's tight and flowing and feels like it's funny all the way through.
See, I don't remember if you'll remember, but probably about 8 to 10 years ago, I opened up for you a couple of times, and as I recall, I think I might have sucked real bad, so I just wanted to apologize for that.
That's okay. Here's the deal. I got respect for anybody that tries it. Here's the thing. It's a hard job to do. I mean, it's a hard thing to do. But anybody that has what it takes to get up there and give it a shot, I know what that's like. I was there, been there, and it's a struggle. In the beginning when you start out, I've been doing this 21 years, so when I started out, it was you're just trying to find anything that's funny. You don't forget trying to find your voice or what you're trying to say. You're just trying to find anything that's funny, and then once that happens, then you're like, oh, okay, now how do I make a living at this? And every little step, for me was, am I doing better this year than I was last year? And I kind of looked at it like that. That's what kept me in it and kept me going. Right. And I always kept saying to myself, well, if I'm doing better this year than I was last year, then I'm moving up. And that's what's happened, in 21 years. I mean, it's gotten better every year. And most guys that did comedy would hinge their whole career on a television deal. They would get their 15 minutes or 20-minute act together, and then they'd move to Los Angeles and hinge everything on a television deal. And for me, that was like panning for gold. I always thought that if I stayed in the middle of the country, Tulsa, where I grew up in Texas, but I ended up moving to Tulsa because I met my wife, and I figured if I stayed here and I built an audience, that if I had any success, they would come looking for me. And that's how everything worked out. That's where I got the television deal. That's where, I got the record deals and all that stuff because of the success that I had built on my own.
Right. How was it like? What was it like doing the TV show? Did you enjoy doing the TV show for the couple of years you did it?
I enjoyed it very much. It was although when I was, we shot it in Los Angeles, and going out there was a huge sacrifice. It took a toll on my family, my wife, my kids, being away. But we did 44 episodes. It was a great experience, and all the people that I met, that were pertaining to the show, that worked on the show, were just great people. I enjoyed that process. However, it is when you go from working for yourself, meaning stand-up, and doing your own thing, and then you go work doing a television show, it is a little bit like factory work because you're having to, there's long hours, and everything you do is scrutinized by the people ahead on top, So there's a lot of what I call, them kicking your sandcastle over. You do this, you put the show together with 180 people. You do the best that you can, and then at the end of the day, some guy in a suit comes down from ABC and kicks over whatever it is that you made and tells you to start over. He doesn't like it, and that's okay for about a week. Then after about 2 or 3 weeks, you start really. It wears on you. It kills your spirit. When you're a creative person and somebody, that's what's happening. After a while, you're just kind of like, okay, I get it. I see how this works, and you don't. It's not very fulfilling in the long run.
Right. Well, all things considered, I thought you put a very, very, very funny show on. I had recently bought the DVD set. I was excited when Season 2 came out because I was able to finally see the whole, the finale to the season, because I remember that year ABC kind of jerked it around the schedule a bunch and then never aired the back. I think back 6 it was.
Back 6, yeah.
And so I was excited to see those, and they were really funny. So I was just curious, what had happened there with the, why the show kind of fell through. Because it was highly enjoyable, and everybody that I knew watched it just had tears in their eyes laughing every time.
Well, what happened, it wasn't the numbers were their number one comedy was According to Jim, and our show on a regular basis beat their number one comedy in the ratings. And what happened was that I think that ultimately our numbers were huge in the center of the country. We didn't do very much business. We didn't do very good numbers in Los Angeles and New York, but it's what I kept telling them was that the majority of the people in Los Angeles and New York don't speak English. So I mean we're not going to do good.
Or watch TV as much. I would imagine
our show appeals to that group.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the thing too, the thing is that Desperate Housewives came out the same year that we did, and that was just this huge hit, and it overshadowed everything. And so ABC wanted everything to be like that. They thought that everything had to be like that, and what they did was they ended up going through they went through several other comedies through the next couple of years before they've even settled on anything. They finally settled on this Modern Family, but they've gone through so many other ones, but they don't stick with anything. The reason that CBS is so successful is because CBS gives the shows a shot. If they believe in it, they believe in it, and they let it develop, and they let it grow. And that's what would have happened to our show had they allowed it to continue on.
Right. So which do you prefer? Did you prefer, obviously the time away from the family is tough and dealing with the bureaucratic stuff is tough, but did you have more fun actually working on the show, or do you have more fun going out and touring?
Oh, well, the touring is my favorite. The exchange between just me and the audience and people laughing, it never gets old to see some guy doubling over, wiping his eyes, crying from laughing. That never gets old to me. That's the part of that never gets old to me ever. And so I like touring. And I get to make my own rules. I get to tell my own stories. I get to do and at the end, when I get done, there's no guy in a suit telling me how I did it wrong.
Except for that drunk guy at the bar after the show, basically.
Well, the places that we work now are a little bit nicer, so I don't have to. I usually don't run into nobody no drunk at a bar.
No more drunks at the bar. Noticing that, I noticed you got a couple shows coming up in Vegas. You excited about that? Nice run in Vegas?
Well, I've done Vegas the past 10 years, and it's fun, but the city itself, all of what Vegas has to offer kind of wears off. I go out there and I play golf during the days, and the shows are at 10 o'clock at night, so I play golf. There's usually my days in Las Vegas are golf, nap, dinner, show. Golf,
like a hell of a day.
nap, dinner, show.
That actually sounds
schedule.
like a vacation.
It is a vacation. Well, I take my wife. I'm taking my wife with me this time, so she's gonna, we'll enjoy that time together. So she doesn't come out that much with me on the road. So no, that's the part she's not into golf. She doesn't care for it. She knows how much I love it, though.
Well, that's important.
Well, that's the funny thing, though, is I notice on the TV show, you show yourself golfing a lot on the TV show, Rodney, but then on your Live at the Majestic thing, you make mention of the fact that you're not a great golfer. Well,
I say I'm not a good golfer. It depends on what a good golfer is. I have a 5 handicap. That's what on a given day, I can go out. Last week, my best round was 2 under. I shot 70.
Wow.
On a golf course here in Tulsa. So, but that's all I do. I play golf. That's my hobby. I don't hunt. I do like to fish, but most of the time, if I got any extra time, I'm playing golf.
Right.
I love it.
Do you still keep in touch with anybody from the show, like Nick Searcy, those guys?
I was just with Nick Searcy in Palm Springs this past week. We were out there at an event benefiting an organization called Convoy of Hope, which is an organization that feeds starving and hungry children. So I got a chance to play golf with Nick for a couple of days, and it was great seeing him. We always have fun.
The chemistry between you guys on the show was awesome, the way you guys were able to go back and forth. And I'll tell you right now, my favorite episode of all 2 seasons was that Hell Week episode. Does anything like that actually happen in your real life?
No. Playing pranks on your buddy, doing things like that. There's pranks certainly we've played on each other. But nothing, anything big now. I mean, when I play golf now, I got a buddy that works for me that we play. We're pretty close in our ability. So we used to play for dog food. Not me and him, but me and Barry back when my other buddy was alive. We used to play. Loser would eat a can of dog food, and I'm too old for that now.
So basically,
now we just have a coat.
What you're saying is no more naked at Walmart bits.
That's what I was just gonna say. That was my question.
No. Yeah, no more naked at Walmart bits at all.
That was probably one of my favorite scenes from the whole show. I was just laughing so funny. Oh God, it was funny. Really good comedy.
Like I said, we were real big fans of the show, so we were kind of really sad to see it go.
Well, I appreciate it. It was fun, but it ended at the right time for me when it pertains to my family. I mean, it could have been bad.
Did you feel the finale closed it out the way you wanted it to? Because it never aired. The only way we saw it was on the DVDs. But did you feel you were able to close the show out the way you wanted to?
I was happy with everything that we did. I mean, I was happy with where the show was going, where it was headed, where it ended. I really thought that there was a good chance we were coming back for a third season. I think that, but once a network commits to a third season, they pretty much are committed to the show for the long haul. And so I think for them, they wanted to move on. They felt like every comedy needed to be hip, and the guy that did that is no longer there. So there you go.
Okay, yeah. Well, you got to love those bureaucratic changes. So now, before we let you go here, we usually do our favorites of the week. We got to ask you what your favorite movie is, or at least current favorite movie, because everybody's favorite movie changes.
Yeah, well, my favorite movie, I haven't seen the movie. Well, somebody asked me what my favorite movie is of all time, but my favorite movie of all time is It's a Wonderful Life, the Christmas movie with Jimmy Stewart.
Right.
I mean, that's my favorite. That's my favorite movie of all time. But I'm trying to think of one I've seen recently. I saw Up in the Air with George Clooney.
Oh, I still haven't seen
it. And I thought that was good.
It was pretty good?
You enjoyed
that? I thought that was good, only because I identified with a lot of the movie, traveling a lot and missing a lot of life and for the sake of traveling. But, I can't think of anything that I've seen recently. I mean, I don't, if like most people, I don't have a whole lot of time to watch, a movie, sit down and watch a movie. Plus, nowadays, there's so much entertainment on the internet and things like that. People just find their entertainment elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So many other things that occupy.
Have you found yourself searching the internet for comedy and stuff like that?
No. In fact, I despise the internet. I think it's done as much bad as it's done good. And so, I mean, if I need the internet for something, it's just to look up, where do you find a 34-inch drainage pipe? Right now I'm building a house, and it's stuff like that.
So I take it you're still one of those home repair guys, do all your home repairs by yourself, stuff like that?
No, I don't do all that. We're just in the middle of building a house, and I got two guys that work for me full time that take care of all that stuff, and then of course there's all the other crews and things over there now. So that's if you're thinking about building a house, you better take a class in patience and kindness.
Well, I'm screwed then.
Because you're going to need
it. Both toast,
you lost me at patience.
All right, while we're running through favorites, aside from Toby Keith, because you were in a movie with him, what's your favorite musician?
My favorite musician?
Yeah.
If I had to be stuck with somebody, it'd be Frank Sinatra.
There you go.
I've noticed I can't remember what album you did it on, but you did a version of one of your songs with a real Sinatra type tone to it, and I noticed it and I thought it came out amazing. Thought it really came out good. Have you ever thought of putting out like a secondary Sinatra album?
I love that kind of music. I mean, if you get in the car, in my car, what you're going to hear is singers and standards. You're going to hear Tony Bennett. You're going to hear Dean Martin. You know, you're going to hear all of them. Rosemary Clooney. You're going to hear, that's the kind of music I listen to. It's peaceful. It's quiet. It's calm. You know, it was made during a time when there were true, real, the songwriters. You know, I mean, the songs, the way they were written back then. I just love that music. I can't say enough about it.
Right. Hey, we love pumping music, so pump any artist you want. We love kicking out music.
We're big music fans.
And one other favorite. Do you have a favorite comedian that isn't you?
Well, I don't watch a lot of comedy, but I like Cedric the Entertainer. He makes me laugh.
Yeah, Cedric's funny.
I like Jonathan Winters. I think Dave Chappelle's pretty funny. So I don't know that I have any favorites of any, when it comes to comedy. I mean, I do comedy for a living, so I don't necessarily have any favorite comedians.
Right, that makes sense.
Jonathan Winters was always a favorite of mine.
Right. And aside from immediate family, if you were stuck on a desert island, who would you bring with you?
Who would I bring with me?
Just too easy. Do I guess anybody? Yeah, pretty much anybody you'd want on a desert island with you if you couldn't have your family with you.
Salma Hayek.
There you go. Nice answer.
That's a legitimate, honest answer right there. A legitimate, honest answer.
Nothing wrong with that.
Now, you've got tour dates coming up pretty much forever. Looks like this weekend you're in Joliet, Illinois, Fort Wayne, Indiana, and Cape Girardeau.
That is correct. And then I'm off for Halloween. I'm going trick-or-treating.
You actually take
and then
yourself?
I go back to work, and I work about every weekend. What's that?
I noticed beginning in November you've got Portland, Oregon. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. Sonoliqui, Washington, or something like that. And then you're in Reno.
Yeah, I can't pronounce it. Yeah. No, it's you can go to the Rodney Carrington website and see all the stuff and where we're going and what we're going to be doing.
Now the question is, are you ever going to come back to Duluth, Minnesota? I know you used to come here quite a bit, and I saw you a couple times at a couple clubs like the North Shore Theater and whatnot. But I haven't seen you back in quite a while. And
we will be. In fact, last week we were in Brainerd, Minnesota, up in Nisswa, playing a golf course up there.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to tell you something. It is beautiful. If you ever get a chance, the Grandview Lodge up there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
That place is one of my favorite places. I loved it. We had a great time up there. We played golf for 2 days, and that state, that's a beautiful state. I saw a lot of it last week.
I think it's a very nice state to visit. It's very beautiful, but it takes a toll. Like I've been living here 14 years. I'm from the East Coast, from Pennsylvania, and I've been here for 14 years, and it's taking its toll on me. Minnesota is, but it is very pretty. I'm up by Lake Superior too. I live a couple blocks up from it, so the view is breathtaking. I mean, I can never say enough about the view, but it's taking a toll on me.
I think it's the winters that take the toll. The winters got to take the toll. See, I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we don't have long, drawn-out winters.
Well, my first winter here was in '96, and that was the year where it was 80 below with the wind chill. And I was like, what the hell did I get myself into right now? So, but I stayed.
Speaking of cold weather, you have a Christmas album out. You have a Christmas album out.
I wanted to do a straightforward standalone Christmas album because I love Christmas, and that's what that record is. I wanted to do it with a big band. We spent $250,000 making it. We went all the way out and did it right, and I'm real proud of it. I mean, I made it more for myself than I did anybody else. And I thought if anybody enjoys it, it'll just be a bonus.
Oh no.
But
I bought
it did real well
when
last
it came
year.
out. It
We
was
had
amazing. I really enjoyed it. I think that's actually in my Christmas CD, my Christmas CD list along with everything else.
That and the Chipmunk Christmas.
Yeah,
you gotta listen to the Chipmunk
together,
Christmas
actually.
every year. I don't think there's a Christmas in the last 20 years that have gone by where I haven't busted out the Chipmunk Christmas album. Because you got it. It's a staple, you know?
And your current album, you're doing El Nino Loco is your current album. You said that one's all music, right?
It is. I had some comedy songs, and the stand-up that I was working on was not. I was just simply doing that, working on that. Wasn't ready for an album, but I wanted to put these songs out. So during the time we were making Beer for My Horses, making the movie, I asked Toby if he wanted to go in the studio and produce this record with me, and he did. And so it's all it is, just some comedy songs I had laying around, so I put them on a record. That's what El Nino Loco became.
So do we have a...
Of course, then when I wrote...
I was going to say, do we have an upcoming...
When I put the album out... Yeah, well, I mean, it's coming. I don't know exactly when it's coming. We're real close, but...
Man, that sounds a lot like what my wife
right
said
now,
the
I'm
other
just,
night.
We're talking about doing a special, perhaps in Vegas this year. Like recording where we are right now. But there's a few things that got to come together in order to make that happen. And but it will. I certainly see something coming out next year sometime.
Well, I'm telling you, we're waiting for another DVD. We waited almost 13 years, I think, for the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I know a lot of people I talk to keep saying, when's that Rodney guy coming out with another DVD? Yeah. Because they like to see you as well as hear you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because your physical appearance certainly doesn't necessarily match your voice or your comedy. I'd heard you for a long time on Bob and Tom and whatnot. They'd play like some of your songs and whatnot. And then when I saw you live in Duluth, I was just like looking at you up there going, wow, he's a little guy. You were not at all what I was expecting, and not in a bad way at all, but it was not what I was expecting.
No. I am a little guy. I'm tiny. I'm a little petite flower. Actually, I'm 5'7" and I weigh 200 pounds.
Well, see, you got me by an inch. I'm like
so
6 on a good day.
I'm stocky.
So you're short but stocky.
I'm kind of Emmett Smith.
That story you told on Live at the Majestic about the gym, that guy basically boxing you to death, did that actually happen?
Oh, with my kids?
No, when you
you're talking about Fighting Roy.
Yeah, Fighting Roy.
Oh, that's one of those bits that I can't. Like what I was talking about, somebody brings something up, and I go, well, wait a minute, let me think. That actually did happen. I mean, the guy that when I was in college, I fought. I boxed for all of a week, and I mean, I'm real good as long as you don't hit me in the face. I'm pretty good. Like
that's
if
the
you,
key, huh?
but it's getting hit in the face that I didn't care for.
It was just getting hit upside the head that didn't work for you.
And as a boxer, you have to kind of like getting hit in the face.
I would imagine, yeah. That's going to be something you can enjoy.
That's
and
part of the
handle
job.
well.
Yeah.
That is definitely, yeah. I can't imagine not liking getting hit in the face and being a boxer. That wouldn't work for me.
No, it'd be a long career.
Comedy.
All right, well, I know you've got a lot of other interviews and stuff to take care of. We don't want to take up too much more of your time. We did want to thank you for coming on to the show, though. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. This has been great.
Hey, well, thank you, fellas. Hey, and good luck to you, and keep it up.
Oh, we will. We will. And
all great things start somewhere.
Yep.
Well, that's kind of what we figured, and honestly, when we sent out the interview request for you, we thought we were firing off a pipe dream, so
yeah, you
were literally our first choice for an interview on the show, so we really, really appreciate you coming on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I appreciate you asking. It was my pleasure.
All right, guys, before we let him go, don't forget his current album is El Nino Loco, all music. current DVD, the actual DVD selling right now, live at the Majestic, A Funny Thing. And if you want to see boobs, which our audience loves boobies.
Yeah, we talk about them sometimes.
We talk about boobs a lot. If you want to see boobs, that's definitely the DVD to watch. Speaking of that, real quick, one last question.
Yeah.
Do you get flashers at every show when you do that song?
Well, I haven't done the song in about 6 months.
Oh, really? You stopped doing it?
I don't know. People are like, well, what happens is that when I'm working on a new album, working on a new show, which is what I'm doing anytime I put out another one, I start working on another one. In order to create something like a song, like a Show Them to Me or any of the other things, you got to just move on and part from it.
Yeah.
I mean, even though some people want to hear it or some people want to see it, I keep building and building and building new stuff so that because if I have to do the same thing, and now songs are a little bit different, but my wife, that song, whether my wife wants, she had told me she didn't want me singing the song. She didn't like it. She was uncomfortable with the fact that a bunch of girls would show their boobs to me while I was at work.
Too. Don't forget the guys.
And
by the way, Rodney, you don't have to watch your language here. Our show.
I mean, because you think about it. I mean, if you go to work and you're married and you got a bunch of coworkers or a bunch of girls at your work that are just showing you your boobs, your wife's going to be uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, I can see that.
I can see what that would be.
So,
and is there anything you're just tired of playing at this point? Is there anything people ask you to play where you just kind of sigh?
I mix it up a little bit. I don't take requests. When I get up on stage, I got an agenda, and that's to make people laugh, entertain them, and I don't sweat the small stuff. I just kind of do what I want.
There you go.
With the intention that I'm trying to make people laugh.
All right. Well, we want to tell everybody, make sure you go out and see Rodney when he comes to your town. It's an amazing show. You'll laugh your ass off. And if you don't, I'm pretty sure Rodney won't give you your money back anyways. So.
Well, hopefully most people laugh nowadays. Most people that come to the show know what it is that they're getting. But the material that I'm doing right now is not on any record.
So the stuff that you're touring with
so
right
it's
now,
all new.
So everything you're touring with now is all brand new material then?
It's all brand new, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. We'll have to make sure we come out and check out the new material. And once again, we really want to thank you for coming out to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Rodney.
Thank you, guys.
All right, you have yourself a good day.
I appreciate it. Y'all too. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Rodney Carrington live here. Sorry you don't have video of us, but we're going to cut that out anyway, so you'll never fucking
Wait a second, that was Rodney? I thought that was Cloris Leachman the whole time.
Oh, man, the whole time that could have been Cloris Leachman.
Oh, shit. I would have asked totally different questions.
Yeah, that would have really changed the interview. All right, guys, we're going to cut our video feed here, cut this up, and if you didn't see it today, you'll see it on Thursday. Have fun, guys.
See ya.